This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, hi guys. So today we'll start with a new topic. We'll start with a project. There is a PHP application which I want to host on AWS. So as a prerequisite, you need to know few components on AWS. Like you need to know what is EC2, what is application load balancer, what is Elastic Beanstalk, what is S3, what is DynamoDB, what is RDS, and what is CDN. So I am assuming that you know all these things. In case you don't know all these things, i have some shared some previous recordings with you where you can just go through all these things and understand the basic of all these things. A prior knowledge is not mandatory to have, but it's good for your understanding if you have these components. Now the reason why I'm recording this session is I have seen many students who come across a lot of topics, a lot of components on AWS. They know how an individual component works, but when it comes to implementing them at a project level or a real-time project level, they don't have these expertise. They don't have the knowledge of implementing all these on a real-time scenario. So today we will start with a project where we have a PHP application and we are implementing end-to-end this into a AWS platform. Now, here in this project, we will be talking about few items or few things. So how this project is going to be and what are the things we are going to implement and see. So the first thing which we will be talking about is highly available architecture. So this project will help you to understand what is a highly available architecture. So there, when I say highly available, it means something which is available or which is online 24/7. Even in case there is a failure, you somehow manage to keep your applications up and running. So to make this happen, your application should be fault tolerant. So when I say fault tolerant, it means that in case there is a failure, so don't think like if I have designed an application it will never fail. So everything fails. So in case your application has failed, how quickly are you able to recover from that failure, and what is the impact of that failure on your application? So these two terminologies are very important when you're designing an application. So if you come across any architect who is designing an application, he will always keep these two things in his mind. The second thing which he will be talking about is scalability. Let me say today I have 10 customers who are logging into my website. Tomorrow it goes to 100, and day after tomorrow it goes to 1000. So how am I going to keep in pace with the number of customers who are increasing? Do I have to redesign everything? Do I have to shut down my application and upgrade things? No. So the system should be designed in such a way that it should be scalable or it should be elastic as per the demand. The third thing, which is one of the most important thing, is security, so that if somebody wants to hack my application, or one somebody wants unauthorized entry into my website, I should not allow those things to happen, because there will be a lot of customers who will be storing their data on your website, and you would never want that those people, those unauthorized people, come in and steal your data. Third thing and the last thing here is the fourth thing and the last thing is the ease of deployment. Something which is good should not be very difficult. It should be easy so that people should understand, and it should be easily deployed. So keeping these four aspects, we will try to create an application, a well composed and well framed architecture from AWS, which will also teach me all the components and also help me to put the same on my resume so that I can portray this as a real time experience. Now, where to start? Now, the first thing what we are going to do is we should have a AWS free tier account on which we will practice. So I assume that you have a free tier account and you know the basic knowledge of the components which I have discussed earlier. Now, the first thing first, so what we will do is we'll start with the EC2. We will install all the required components on the EC2, and then we will take a backup of that in terms of a AMI. So let's start. So as discussed, the first item what you have to take care of, what you have to keep in your mind is that you should have EC2 free tier, AWS free tier account. So your free tier account will look something like this, and What you have to do is just come inside. So let me just go ahead and terminate things which I don't need. So when you log in for the first time, you will see a blank screen like this. Okay, so this is your AWS management console. I just logged into my environment and this is my AWS management console. Now from here you can click on EC2, and here you should see 0 instances. So as of now there is no instance which is running from my side. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to launch a EC2 instance. So the first prerequisite to launch an EC2 instance is that I should have a security group. Can I create it later? Yes, I can, but I want to create it now so that I am having easy approach. Now, security group, what is this? Security group, as the word suggests, it's a virtual firewall. It's like an antivirus which will help only authorized entries to enter inside, and unauthorized ports or unauthorized access will not be open. So let's go inside this security group and I'm going to create a security group. Here you are supposed to give a name. I'll give anything. My project security group. The same I give here as description, and here I'm leaving it for my default VPC. Here I'm going in my inbound rule, I'm going to make two changes, or I'm going to open two port. One is SSH, port number 22, anywhere, and this stays as SSH. The second one is HTTP, which is port number 80. Again, I make it as anywhere, and I say it is HTTP. That's it. I leave my outbound as it is. I don't make a change here, and I create a security group. So the first thing which I did. The second thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to create a key pair. Now, key pair can be thought as a password. So whenever you log in, it will help you to authenticate yourself. So key pair, click here on the create key pair, and this is the new console I'm using. If you're using the old console, you'll not find this feature. You just say my project KP. Again, you can give any name. Remember, if you're a Mac user, go for PEM. If you're a Windows user, go for PPK, and just say create a key pair. One second. So I have to make a small change here. So this is the previous key pair which I have, and I have to. Okay. This will not be needed. I already had a project KP for me, which was already there. So I had to make a change here. Done. So two things which was needed. First was your security group, which I created, and key pair, that also I created. Once I'm done with these two, I can go ahead and start with the EC2 instance. Now, what is the EC2 instance? I don't know what is the EC2 instance. So simply say here EC2. It talks about a virtual server on cloud. So virtual server is a place where I'm going to install everything and I'm going to run my application. I'm not going to run anything on my home system or on my local machine or on my desktop laptop. I'm going to run everything on the cloud, and this EC2 will give me that cloud environment or that virtual server on AWS cloud environment. So as of now, if you see, I don't have any instance. I'll go here and launch an instance. When I have to launch an instance, I can see there are various options available. So first is choose AMI, and then I have to go through all these steps, all these 7 steps to launch the instance. Now here, based on your requirement, you can choose any operating system. You can choose Windows, Ubuntu, Debian, Linux, Amazon Linux. So there is a big list here. Okay, you can scroll through and you can see how many are there. I am interested only in the free tier one, so let me click on this. On top of that, I am interested in Ubuntu. So if you see here, I have a lot of applications which are a lot of operating systems, which out of which I chose Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is available on these 3 versions: 16.04, 18.04, and 20.04. Good thing is all of them are under free tier. I'll take 1604 and I'll say, let's go ahead, select. In the second place, it asks me for the instance type. Here, I will go for T2 micro again because it is free of cost. It will provide me 1 GB of or one CPU, one core CPU, and 1 GB RAM. It will help me to run low to moderate loads if I'm and I am okay with that. If you want further load, you can go for quad core, dual core, sorry, octa core, quad core, dual core, and 32 GB RAM, 16 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM. Further, if you want more, you can get more here towards the down. But those things will come with cost. I'm not interested in spending extra money. And with T2 Micro, my work will go good. So I'll continue with T2 Micro. I'll say next. Don't directly click on this review and launch because there are a lot of options which you have to choose when you're creating this. Now, here you have the third section which talks about configure the instance. Here you choose a lot of options. Okay, as of now I'm leaving everything as default, like number of instances is 1. You can give 2, 10, 5, 10, 20, anything. You can use a purchasing option. So if you want to purchase EC2 instances, as you know, it is of 4 types. So as of now I'm going for on demand. I need it and I'll take it from Amazon. So I'm not going for spot instances. This networking thing, I leave it as default. So as of now I'm not touching anything. I'm simply saying whatever you give is okay. I took all the default here in the configure instance section. In add storage section, it is giving me anything more than so it is giving me a memory which is of 8 GB. Anything more than 30 GB is chargeable. So again, I want to stay in the free tier and I go for 8 GB. If you want, you can add more like 12. One second. If you want, you can add more like 12, 15, 18, 3000, 800 GB. Anything is okay here. But why to spend money when you can you do the project without spending? So 8 GB is what I got. Then there is something called tag. Now this tag thing is optional, but when you're working on a prod environment, you will see that this becomes very handy because there are a lot of developers who will be developing along with you. So how will you identify your instance uniquely? So this will be a great help for you. So you can say my PHP application, my PHP application. Done. Then I will configure the security group. Now here it says whether you want to create a new security group or you're going to use the existing security group. Now, if you remember, I already created a security group, which is this. And if you see carefully, port number 80 and port number 22 is open here. Now let me say review and launch and go ahead and launch it. Now it says these are the steps which you have done. Are you okay with that? So it's a review kind of thing where you review everything. Okay, this is the storage I chose. This is the instance detail I gave. This is the tag I gave. So you can just go and see everything, whether everything is working fine or not. If everything is working fine, you can simply say launch. When you launch, it will ask you, how would you like to authenticate yourself? So there are 3 options where you can say, I want to create a new key pair. Don't do this because if you're using a Windows system, it will by default create a .eem file which is not compatible with Windows. It is compatible with Mac operating system. Choose an existing key pair. Yes, is what I'm going to do now, and proceed without security key pair is of no use because if you're not able to log into your instance, what is the use? So I'll go with this where I say I'm going to choose my existing key pair. It says which or what is the key pair. So I'll say my project key pair is what I have just now created. I'm going to authenticate myself via this. Done. Go ahead and click launch. Now when you click on launch, it gives a green signal like this. If you get a green signal or a green tick here, it means whatever you have done till now is absolutely right. So you can say that, okay, step 1 is complete. Now, this is a ARN or Amazon resource number, which uniquely identifies this particular instance on the entire Amazon world. Click on this, you will be able to go and see the instance which you just now created. So if you see here, this is the tag or this is the name that you gave, then you got this ARN, and this is currently running. You chose T2 micro, it is still initializing, And on top of that, you can see a few more features, like you will see that it has been launched on US East 1. So I'm logged into North Virginia, which is US East 1. It has a public DNS name. It has a public IP address. Here it's a public IP address, and it is using this security group. This particular security group is what it is using, my project security group, and the key name is my project KP. It tells me the time and the date at which it has been launched. Now here, there is something which I should take care of. There is something called public IPv4. So it's a unique IP address which dynamically gets allocated to me because I have launched an instance. When you launch the instance, definitely you will also get a unique IP address, but it will be not what I have got. Now, the problem with this IP address, or what is the need of this IP address? So this IP address uniquely identifies this machine. Tag is you give any name. So it is for you to identify that machine. But how will Amazon identify? Obviously, it can do with ARN. But if you want to uniquely identify your machine from the you are in the internet world, so this will help you to uniquely identify your machine. Okay. Now, what happens is the moment you stop your machine, let me say I stop my machine and start it again. Okay, terminate means it is completely gone. You cannot get it back. But if I stop my machine and start it back, I will lose this IP address and a new IP address will get generated. So this is how the IP address work. So if you have configured something or you have linked your IP address with something else, then you have to do it again. So the problem can be solved using something called elastic IP. So you can allocate an elastic IP to this machine, and next time when you start and stop your machine, you will not see, you will see that this IP address is not changing. Now you will say, why do I need to start and stop my machine? So you are using Amazon free tier application or a free tier account. If you exceed the free tier usage, which you will definitely exceed in case you keep this instance running, then you will be charged with extra money. So the best practice is that today, if you are working on this instance, I will work with this instance, let me 3 hours, and then once I'm done and I know today I'm not going to log in anymore, I will go ahead and stop this instance, and then tomorrow when I come back, I will again start the instance. The problem will be that this IP address will change. Definitely this IP address or the private IP address, this will not change. It remains as it is, but the problem is this IP address will change. So I want that this IP address should not change. So I can fix the IP address, and to fix that, I have to use Elastic IP. Yes, I have to spend some money. It is not free of cost. So let's go and see what has to be done. Come here to this option which says Elastic IP. So as of now, it says there is no Elastic IP for you. So I will say, give me one Elastic IP. Allocate one Elastic IP for me. When you say Elastic IP, make sure that the region here, which is North Virginia, for me, which is US East 1, and this region is same. So on US East 1, I say, whatever Amazon has IPv4 address, you give one to me. Just come here and say allocate. So what happens is you get a unique IP address. Again, this is what I got. You will get a different one. This unique IP address is obviously different from the IP address which you got in your EC2 instance. What should I do? Come to action and say allocate. So if you want to use it no more, you can say release. I don't want this. But if you want to use it, you have to say associate this elastic IP address. Now it will ask me with which or what you want to associate. So I want to associate this with instance. What is the instance name? So you can come here and say, this is the instance ARN. You need not remember it. You just click here, it will tell you. Then simply say associate. The moment you click on associate and you come back here, okay, see here, this elastic IP is reflecting here. Also, this public IP address has changed. Now, even if I start and stop my instance, it will not lose this IP address until and unless I disassociate it. So Now let me go ahead and connect to this instance. Now connecting to this instance can be easy. Simply click on this connect button and say I want to do a EC2 connect. Simply say on this EC2 connect and click on this connect button. Remember the default username is Ubuntu. See here, the default username is Ubuntu and this is the IP address. But here you don't get validated. You don't use your key value pair, and that's the reason I will not. The companies don't prefer this way of connecting. So what's the other way of connecting? So the other way of connecting is using Ssh Client. What is that? So you can install Putty and you can connect via Putty. So via Putty, when I connect, I say Ubuntu @ whatever IP address you got here. You can use this IPv4 address or IPv4 DNS name. Both are same. Click on this, it gets copied, paste it, then come here to appearance. I want to change the appearance a little bit. I want to make the font bigger. Let me do that. And then click on this SSH button, plus button on the SSH, then go to auth and browse and pick the key value pair which you have. So this is my key value pair, my project KP. Just say open. If you get this screen, it means whatever you have done till now is absolutely right and you can proceed ahead. So this can be treated as a second checkpoint. So as of now, you see that it is saying this is your default username. This is your default username. And you are connected to this machine. Now it says if you want to upgrade yourself as a root user, you can use sudo command. See here, it says sudo. Now I will not upgrade myself as a root user, rather I'll continue as a Ubuntu user. Okay, now here is where I'm going to install all the application or all the softwares related to my PHP application. The first thing is ls-l. Do I have anything? No. Do I have git installed? So let me check git version version. So yeah, git is installed. So by default, when I run a Ubuntu application, git is pre-installed. So I will pull the code from my big bucket. So I have this thing open for me. If you want, you can also just come to my repo, which is bigbucket.org vikas99341, and you can pull or fork these two codes for you. So you don't need to be from a development background to understand all these things. You can simply come and clone this thing. Simply click on this clone and it will start working. So when you click on this clone, you get a link. Just copy this link and come here and paste this link. So here if you see, it says git clone and this is the code what you have to clone. Hit enter. So what happens is, now if you say ls-l, you will see this entire project has been cloned here. Now once this project has been cloned, you can unzip it. So click on unzip and clone. 1 second. Okay, sorry, this is not the zip version. This is the folder. So let me say cd and let me go inside this. Now ls-l, if I do, you can see the entire content of my project is here. What have I done? Simply, I have pulled the content from my big bucket repo. So this is the code and you can easily clone it. Once it is done, just close it. The same content what I have here, you can see now in my this place. Now, if you come here, you will see there is a folder called app-get.sh. Now this contains all the, now let me show you that. So cat. So this basically contains all the PHP software. So PHP, Apache 2, PHP, Memcache, MySQL. So these are some basic softwares which I need before I run my PHP application. Now, if you say ls-l, sorry, my bad. If you say ls-l, you see it is RW. It does not have the execute permission. So first thing what I do is I give execute permission. So sudo +x to the script Plus X means I'm giving you execute permission. Obviously the color will change, but sudo chmod plus X. Now if you run this command again, see here it is green in color, and if you see here you gave plus X, so now it is RWX. Earlier it was only RW. Now once you have given execute permission, you can run this. So this is a shell script, so you run it saying sh and the script name. So what will happen is whatever script is written inside means your installation of MySQL, installation of Apache, installation of PHP, all these things will get installed here. From where am I getting the software? Now these softwares I am installing it from the internet. So my application is connected to internet, and from internet it is installing everything. So that's the reason in the second place I told that you should open port number 80. In case you don't open port number 80, this thing will not work. So let this installation happen. It will take some time. So basically I'm creating the environment where I can run my application. It will take some time. Let's wait. Now the next activity what I have to do here is I have to install Composer. Now if you're working with or if you have any prior knowledge of PHP, you will understand that there is a software called Composer which is needed when you are running a PHP application. So if you see here, I get a success here and all the softwares which I need was installed. So now I'm going to run this PHP Composer. Now the moment I run this PHP Composer, it says downloading, it's downloaded, and then it says run this command PHP Composer var, and I can say install this. So it says I'm going to install this PHP var. So this is something which you need when you are running a PHP application. Now this PHP application has to run on a AWS platform. Okay, so you need to run this command PHP Composer var install, means install whatever is required. So I have already done that. Because I've already done that in my previous step, it says nothing to install, update or remove. The next component which I will be, or just let me do ls minus l or clear everything. Now let me do ls minus l. Now what you will see here that I get few extra files like vendor composer.php var, which will help me to run this entire stuff on my EC2 instance. Now this thing lies here, means if I say pwd, this thing lies here, home Ubuntu AWS PHP app. But I have to bring this entire thing to a new location, which is I'll tell you the location. It is www sorry var html. So big one second cd var cd www cd html. So this is the place where I should put all these things so that they run. Okay, as of now if I say ls minus l, you will see that here nothing is there, only index.html is here. Okay, so as of now I know that this is installed. What do you say? PHP is installed. So let me just see what can I see right now. So let me take this thing, come here and say enter. So it says you have installed Apache 2 and this is Ubuntu's default page, and it's working because you have var www.html index.html. So you have this. If you want to run something else, you need to replace this file. Okay, and this is what I'm going to do now. How am I going to do? So let me come here. I will come back to this place where my all the content is here. So cd enter clear and ls minus l. So this entire content I want to move it to that place. So the first thing what I'm going to do is cp copy, okay, copy the content from here to that place. So obviously I will run with sudo cp star.php and you have to go and put it where? Var www html. You have to put everything there. Enter. So all the files which has .php at the end will get copied. Similarly, the file which has png with at end. So I have a png file which is this. I want to copy this. So I don't want this composer JSON. This I don't want. This I don't want. So this PHP files I want, which I took there, and then I'll take this vendor folder also. And when I have to copy a folder, I will say something like this: sudo cp minus capital R recursive. This option stands for recursive. It simply says that I want to copy the file and also the components which are inside that file to this location. Hit enter. Now if you go to this place, you will see you have copied everything. See here, the vendor file is here, the PHP file is here, sorry, the PNG file is here, and all the PHP files are here. Rest what is there, I don't need them, so I'm not worried about that. So if you see here, everything looks good to me. Now I'm going to run this again, but with this thing. So I will say /index.php. Wow. Now this is the application what I have. It's a very simple application with no much complexity. It's a very simple web page which is written on a PHP application, and this is what I have done. Will the things work? I don't think so because I have not configured anything, but let's try. I believe some of them will work. So it says image page, image on EBS volume. I should have this. Let me click this. Wow, it's working. So one page is working. EC2 session. Let me click here. Let me give my name. Submit. Yes, it's working. So great. So I've covered the first step of this, and hopefully you'll practice this and you'll come to a conclusion where you're able to reach till this point. I'll meet you in the next class. Okay. Bye bye, guys.